Been married for 38 years, and it became pretty clear that my disinterest in our relationship was coming from my addiction to pornography. I don't think we're broken people. I don't think we're damaged goods, but
Right.
there's something in us that put us on this path, and we got to figure out what that is, and then we got to figure out how to get over it.
Hey, brothers, I have here Mike from coming off the implementation program, and he's willing to share his wins, journey, and his overall experience with the reboot process. And Mike, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came across the program?
Grew up in the Midwest, 60 years old now. I've been married for 38 years, have a grown son, granddaughter. Struggled with my addiction for, well, now at 60, probably 50 years, since I was about 10. Had an epiphanal moment, I don't know, it must have been October of 23, where my wife and I had been struggling and kind of making it through life, not enamored with each other, not happy with our situation, not thrilled about anything necessarily, but it just seemed, I mean, that's how I watched my parents go through their life, so it really didn't trigger me to say, hey, something's not right. And then we had a few weeks worth of pretty tumultuous time, and it became pretty clear that my disinterest in our relationship was coming from my addiction to pornography. And I had looked and looked and looked in the past for help somewhere. I had done SAA at one time back in '04, and that wasn't extremely helpful. Probably more because I didn't want the help. I didn't
Right.
take the help, right? And but she looked online. I looked online, couldn't find anything, couldn't find anything. And one day I just woke up one morning and said, I'm going to look one more time. And the first thing that popped up was elevated recovery,
Hmm.
or
Nice.
porn reboot. I don't remember. I think it was porn reboot.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's both.
yeah. And so I looked into it and and told her about it, and then sent in, filled out the questionnaire or whatever that. I don't even remember what the process is to get started, but there was an online thing, so I
Yeah.
did that, and talked to Dave Cepeda, and the rest is reboot history. Yes, it is.
That's right. And no, and thank you for sharing. So at the time, there was a lot of uncertainty in the relationship department, and just kind of like that's where you were struggling, right? That was like your main motivator to like, hey, if I gotta try this, and here you were, right? Like what, about 16 months ago, right? I want to say that you joined.
Oh no, I'm probably, well, it was December 12th of 2023 when I got into the program. So I'm
Yeah,
18 months now.
18. Oh, dang, man. I
Yeah.
feel like that was just yesterday, to be honest. That's
Yeah, no, it
yeah.
does. It does feel like yesterday.
Yeah, that
It was definitely, it definitely went by quicker than I thought it would. Um, you get into it and you start, it's that first few weeks, and, you go to the orientation, here's all these modules, and here's all these things, and here's the books you need to read, and here's the calls that happen 3 times a week. And I'm going, I'm gonna have to quit my job just so I can recover, because I don't have time, you know?
yeah.
And I talked to you, like the very first week. I got on the hot seat call on a Wednesday night, and got on the hot seat. I didn't like myself very much.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't want to be here anymore, which is all the more I'll say about that,
Right.
because I don't want to get down into that valley. Okay.
Right. No, I feel
Um,
it.
and we went through some exercises, and that made me feel significantly better. Started reading Breaking the Cycle, went to the Sunday calls with Chris Rogers, Reboot Hero 2, started making time to go to the calls during the week. But, of course, I work a 9 to 5 job. So, noon on Thursday isn't the most convenient time for me to, you know, be disengaged, but figured it out, found where the recording archives were.
Yeah.
Never did completely figure out the whole Facebook thing. Like it was not the most intuitive thing for me to, well, you go here and you click on the bottom of this picture, and then that'll take you to the archive. And well, if you don't know that,
Right.
it's like,
No, I get
how do I get there?
yeah.
But found the archives, did several sessions with Dr. Eastman. And she was really instrumental in helping me clear out the closet, if you will, as far as the trauma. There were things that happened in my life when I was a kid that I didn't realize were traumatic, because to me they didn't seem that significant.
Yeah.
But when you go back and you look at it and you have somebody saying, why do you, like I would say, well, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything. And she goes, why do you think that? Like, why do you think that person doing that thing at that time in your life, when you had no way to fight back or no way to protect yourself or defend yourself, why would you think? And then when I started reading a bunch of the neuroscience stuff and the positive self-talk and the programs and just all the different things that go on in your brain and the way the brain works and absorbs those things and puts them away, you go, whoa, how do, and again, I've had my 59th and 69th, or my 59th and 60th birthday in the program. And I'm learning things that are phenomenal, like things that I would never have picked up on, And at first I was getting these emails, like every day I was getting an email from JK about something, just a barrage of emails, and they all felt like marketing emails. And I'm going, dude, stop sending me stuff. I'm in the program. You already got me, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, wait a minute. No. This is stuff that I need to hear. Like this is that little nugget in the middle of the drive home where you watch you listen to a podcast and it's the right thing for that moment, or it's an email that talks about something it's to me, it's a God thing. My faith and it's God putting his hand down and saying, you need to hear this today. That's how I took it. And just recently, I think I told you the other day when we were talking, the last time we talked, that I hadn't been getting the JK emails. Right. And I thought it was because I was getting towards the end of my time, because I wasn't going to be re-upping for the last 6 months of the 2 years. And I thought, well, maybe they cut me off of the emails and all that kind of stuff. And I found myself craving them. Like I wanted to get the email. What's the next thing that he's going to talk about? Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, those, like, you really have to just absorb all of it, not necessarily act on all of it, or not necessarily, but all those little things come back. Like I find myself, or have found myself in the past, going back to the modules and redoing a module just because I didn't have anything else to do that day. Right. And it was the right thing for that moment,
Yes. Like a lot of synchronicities, right? It's like, oh,
yeah,
like you trust it, like, oh, that's like I guess our intuition or just gut feeling. Maybe I should just do this. And it's like, well, I needed to do that, but I didn't think of it. And I feel like those are the best times to either do it or not, right? There's like an easy
right,
decision not to do it, but it's also easy to say yes or no. So,
right,
but that's good, man.
right.
I appreciate you sharing. And I know you had a lot of calls up in the beginning for sure. I remember that. And then to see kind of like you opening up more and just trusting the system more, you get to notice like I agree. Like sometimes I used to laugh at a certain experience, and like, bro, and someone called me out on like, that's kind of up, and I didn't
Right.
really think about. It. I was like, oh, I guess it is, and then I guess that's a way to like a coping mechanism, right? To kind of soothe it instead of really feeling what's behind that.
Right.
And that's so like powerful because you're like, oh, that's why I tend to shy away from topics or certain situations trigger me that were kind of similar. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
cool to pull back and reframe it. And the next, that similar feeling won't have that effect anymore on you, right? Your nervous system could calm down.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing that I found is I don't have to be ashamed of those things. There's some things that I still carry a little bit of shame with, but it's healthy shame. It's the shame that keeps me from doing something again. But some of the things that happen that I had no control over, I don't have to hide from that anymore.
Right.
And even, well, I mean, my wife and I have been very honest with each other over the last 18 months, and within the first 6 months, basically all of our dirty laundry was scattered all over the house, if you will.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's nice to not have to hide from that. I
Yeah.
did things that I'm not proud of, but I'm a human being and I made a mistake and I said I was sorry and I promise I'll never do it again. And I've embarked on a journey through this program that will help me keep that promise.
Yeah.
So I don't ever have to hide from that again. So if it comes up, or if I hear a song that talks about infidelity, I don't have to divert the conversation. There's
Right.
nothing else to tell. You know what I mean? Like if the book is open, she knows what happened. I know what happened with her. We don't have to hide from that.
No, I like that. No, thank you for sharing that. That's very deep because I feel like as addicts, right, we like to hide.
Yeah,
It's like that. It's so refreshing when you're like, because it's kind of like muscle memory. You're like, oh, you're like, oh wait, I have to
right,
hide from that. I was like, whoa, why am I acting that way? But
right,
it's good to, again, you relax your nervous system. You're like, okay, I'm literally guilt free here. I'm the one
right,
that keeps it. I'm the one that's creating more suffering because I feel like I deserve more, right? Kind of like you kind
right,
of, and that's kind of irrational. Like you don't deserve more suffering. If anything, you've been suffering for the decades, right? So you're like
right,
they carry that today. Like there's no that's your choice. So that's
right.
cool, man. I like that. That's a good reframe and a positive spin on it. And because you're coming from a place of more compassionate and kind to yourself. But brother, what other tools that you found were very helpful for you?
Well, I wore the rubber band for a really, really long time. And I don't have a rubber band on now, and I'm not opposed to putting rubber band back on. It's just I keep forgetting to get one. I get them out of a bag at work. I keep forgetting to go into the copier room and grab one.
Yeah.
But when I do work on my tractor, I wear rubber gloves. Well, the rubber band gets caught up in the rubber gloves, and the next thing it's gone. Okay,
Right.
and then I don't think about it. I look down and go, oh crap, I have a rubber band on. I think just having it on, like I didn't snap it a lot. I did occasionally at the beginning, but after a while, it was just there to remind me.
Yeah.
That was a good tool to break a thought pattern, and I used it for anger, and I used it for guilt. I mean, I used it for many, not just
The,
objectification or, don't think about that or, urges or things like that. I used it to anything that I didn't want to be thinking or doing, I would use it for that. The other thing, the Breaking the Cycle book, there were things in there, first thought wrong, that helped a lot with
yeah.
a lot of different things. Just the positive self-talk part of it. I signed up for Shad Hemstetter's online program, and every morning I
Nice.
listen religiously to the self-talk for, recovery, for stress, for eating, for, I'm putting all those better programs into my brain,
Nice.
to get rid of the old, I think, was it Hemstetter? Yeah, it was Hemstetter. What to say when you talk to yourself. He said, if you take all your crappy furniture out of your apartment and you put it in your garage and you don't fill your apartment up with better furniture, you're just going to go to the garage to get the old furniture back, right? And
Yeah,
so I signed up to get this to be part of his program, and it's the best $20 a month I've ever spent.
that's awesome,
You
man.
know, because I haven't even been through all the modules. Like I've still got a ton of other modules to go through. The feelings exercise. I do a feelings exercise every morning, and I check my feelings on a regular basis throughout the day.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Wins. I've always had a difficult time with wins. I minimize what a win is. And even to this day, I'm sure I had some wins today, but I couldn't tell you what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, they were just today. It was
Right.
Tuesday. Okay. Tomorrow morning, I'll spend some time when I do my journaling in the morning as part of my morning routine. And that's another one too, the morning routine. If I don't do my morning routine first thing in the morning, I'm screwed up for the day.
Wow.
Like even if I
Yeah.
do it later in the morning, it's like I got to get up, I got to take my deep breaths, I got to smile, I got to say my prayers, I've got to check in with my subpersonality, I've got to do that stuff right away, and it sets up the day.
100%. That's like your anchor, right? That's what we say at anchor.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
And
up, man?
even if I'm late getting it done, I mean, for the first time in 18 months on Sunday, I missed it because I didn't take my journal with me to the hotel when we went to the farm to stay overnight.
Yeah.
And the morning I got up and I did all the things, but I didn't write them down. And it's still like I felt that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it didn't mess me up. It didn't screw up my day. It didn't cause me to be off balance or angry or anything. You know what I mean? It didn't, but I knew that I hadn't written it down,
Right.
you know?
It's like that. It's
So
a habit you build by now. And
yeah.
that's what's like, oh, I didn't, it just feels off because it's part of
Mhm.
your, it's like a ritual. It's like a ritual. And then
Yeah.
like when you don't do something that sets you up for the day, it does feel off. It's like, oh man, like
And
you start get that itch.
and here's the other thing too is in watching different videos from JK, you know, he says regularly he'll reiterate the same point that I probably don't need to do this the way I did it when I first started, right?
Mhm.
Morning routine, his morning ritual, meditation, whatever. He said, but if it got me here and I'm doing it anyway, why would I stop?
Hell yeah.
You know? And so like I've felt like, well, gee, do I really need to be as regimented with my morning routine? Do I really need to write in my journal? Like I wrote in my journal for 18 months so that I could post it on the Facebook page.
Yeah. I remember
Now
that.
I don't know how the exit process is for the program because we never had a debrief. You guys and I never had a debrief as to how do we exit, right?
Right.
So on the day that I was told was my last day, I got rid of my Facebook account because I don't need Facebook, right? I just dumped
Yeah.
it. Now, I don't know. I might be able to get back in there and go back into the program because nobody's turned me off yet. You know what I mean? Like
True.
nobody's unchecked the box because I'm still getting JK emails. I'm still getting notifications from you telling me that, hey, there's tomorrow or today was Dr. Eastman this afternoon. I got that notice on my text messages. I'll get
Yeah.
the one for Milan and for Dr. Rankin on Thursday and Friday. Like all that stuff's still happening like it did before. So I don't know if I've been disconnected or not disconnected, or if that's even a thing.
Mm.
But I would write in my journal to post to the group. And I purposely hand wrote it instead of doing it electronically because that was more meaningful to me.
Yes. It's very
Okay. And now I do it. And when I get done, I go, well, why am I like, who am I sending this to? Like, who
good.
am I giving this to? Well, I'm giving it to me.
Yeah.
That's for me now to say, I wrote down what I did this morning and all that stuff. And this is my log of what happened this morning. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if anybody else sees it.
That's
So,
hey, I love that, right? And it's funny because you say I can't remember wins. That's a win right there.
right.
Right.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. To me, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's not a win. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's part
But
of like, yeah, like, hey, this is what that's what a Mike rebooted does. Like this is
yeah,
so it's part of like it's ingrained in you already where it's like, oh yeah, that's the thing I do. And
yeah.
we just in the beginning it probably was a win for you, right? And it still is, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
kind of consciously said, hey, it's a win. And then it
Yeah.
just became a part of you. Like, oh, it feels off if I don't do it. Like, what the, right? Like, kind of like how you said on Sunday, you forgot your journal. It's like, whoa, like this is something's off. And, but no, brother, thank you for sharing that. And you were very consistent, brother. Like every day, like I would say, man, you never miss. And he never,
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, and I knew you were doing that more for you. And I saw like, hey,
Hmm.
I think I think you ended it, I'm a true rebooter. I always saw that I'm a true
Hmm.
rebooter. And I
Oh,
like that
yeah.
because I knew that you're starting to believe that even early on when you were doing it. I know part of you probably didn't believe that yet. And then,
Not yet. No.
right, then you started saying, you know what? These actions that I'm doing are leading me to this point.
Hmm.
Before you know it, we're like, man, 18 months, bro. Like, I honestly didn't know you were there that long, but it just felt
Yeah.
like, whoa, like that literally you could rewire your brain a year to year and a half to two and there here you are, man, like close to the sounds like you're like in the maintenance stage late or kind of late to maintenance stage. You still kind of like
Hmm.
working through stuff, which is
Hmm.
still beautiful, man. And so
Hmm.
coming to this point in your reboot, brother, what's something that you're gonna work on moving forward?
Well, I still struggle with anger. I still get upset about things that probably shouldn't upset me, the way people drive, just some frustrations, things that probably shouldn't bother me. My wife and I go back and forth the way that we talk to each other sometimes isn't meant to be disrespectful, but it feels that way on the receiving end. I mean, 60 years old, you feel a certain way from the way people talk to you. So that causes me some angst or some anger that I have to work on. I don't want to be the guy that blows up
Right.
or gets frustrated or gets angry. I think there's a time to get angry, and I think there's an appropriate position to take and be angry about things. But people are going to cut you off in traffic all the time. That's not the time to get angry, right?
Right.
I take my wife to work. The way that we go to get to her place of employment, there's all kinds of opportunities for people to just be turds and cut in front of you and get into your lane while you're turning left and all this kind of stuff. And it drives me up a wall. They don't know how to navigate four-way stops. Drives me crazy. And that's a tiny, stupid little thing that
Yeah.
still gets under my skin. And I recognize that if I allow that to go too far, I'm at risk.
Nice.
Right? Because
Yeah.
that little thing is the kernel from 2 weeks ago that causes me to be
Right.
unsettled. And in a moment, I make the wrong decision. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm hyper vigilant. You know what I mean? To that extent.
No, brother, that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. That's a good awareness, right? That means you could like, I'm bringing this to my conscious mind and I'm gonna actively do something. Like, okay, like, or challenge that, like, where's this coming from? And the
Yeah.
curiosity. And then finding like you're not really looking to get an immediate like, oh, I'm gonna get Zen, experience just because I brought it to my conscious awareness, but at least you're working your way towards that. And
Right.
it's ongoing, man. I feel like the reboot process, it's not just like, how would I say, once you stop watching the videos or you stop acting out, whatever your choice of poison was, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
just stop there, right? You're learning little things that are popping up, and you deal with it as
Mm-hmm.
it comes. So, yeah, brother, I appreciate you sharing that. And brother, I like to end this kind of call with this question. Let's say there's a brother that or someone that's listening, and he's like probably around your age too. He's like an older guy, and he's like, you know what, I'm having troubles with my wife, or I'm divorced, and or he has a lot of walls up and has some kind of pride, and he's watching and listening to this. Like, what would you tell that guy?
Well, I think you've got to give in. I think you've got to take the step and say, I'm going to do this. It's important. You can't wait around. You can come up with 1,000 different reasons not to do this, right? Right out of the box, it's expensive. Okay. But again, it's expensive compared to what?
Yeah.
Losing your marriage, losing your family, losing your reputation. It's expensive compared to how much money have you spent on your habit. There's always going to be a point where is it worth it to keep going, or am I kind of on a maintenance mode, or there's a point where you go, okay, well, the returns are diminishing at some point, but that's not at the beginning. At the
Right.
beginning, it's all about, I can do all of these things. The biggest thing is to ask questions. The biggest thing, is decide you're going to do it, put your money where your mouth is, then do it, right?
Yeah.
Drink from the fire hose or pick the one thing. Chris Rogers told me more than once, pick a thing and do that.
Yes.
And then just keep doing that until you're doing that without even thinking about it. And then pick another thing and add it, because
That's
you're
good.
not going to be able to do everything,
True.
right? The other thing is you gotta figure out, I don't know if this is correct terminology or not, but it's the way I think about it. You got to figure out what's broken.
Mm.
You got to figure out what's damaged. Some things are, I don't think we're broken people. I don't think we're damaged goods, but
Right.
there's something in us that put us on this path, and we got to figure out what that is. And then we got to figure out how to get over it. It really wasn't hard. Once I got pissed off at my parents for not taking better care of me when I was 10, and I don't mean physical care, but not watching out for me, not protecting me, not, that kind of thing, because they had their own crap going on. But once that got, the rest of it was really, it was really simple to say, I don't have to carry that with me anymore. And once you
Yeah.
get out from under that heap of crap, the rest of it comes pretty, it's like re-recording over a CD or a cassette tape. That's showing my age with cassette tapes,
Yeah,
but
same.
like re-recording over a cassette tape, right? You're just you're going into your mind, and you just got to believe that you're not what you did. You're not, and you just gotta do it.
I like
You
that.
just do it. You say, okay, I was lucky. The only people that knew about my situation is my wife. Well, the only people that I know that knew is my wife, um, and my son, which is a little embarrassing, obviously, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And might be more difficult if people outside of your familial circle knew in the public, right? But nobody needs to know your junk. We do a great job of putting up a facade, and we live behind it. And at the end of the day, it's okay to recover behind that, in my opinion, because nobody else needs to know your business. And
Right.
you fix your, and then you become the guy that they have seen all this time anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that's good. I love
You
this.
know,
Like, I'm glad you
and
expanded a lot there.
yeah, and you just gotta do it. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to have time to do 30 minutes worth of, for me, it takes about 30 or 45 minutes to do my morning routine. Pain in the ass to get up at 4 in the morning to do that so that I can be out the door to take my wife to work and all that stuff. But you know what? You do it. And you do it because what's the alternative?
That is true. It's
You
a
know?
temper. It's not even, I wouldn't, well, I would say, right, a little bit of a sacrifice. But hey, that
Yeah,
really got you where you got the results you wanted, right? So
yeah.
that's all that mattered. So, brother, thank you for sharing. I want, take up much more of your time. And I like your story, man. Very inspirational. I know, man. I was like, when I first met you, I was like, man, it's like talking to a wall. I was like, man, how do I get to this guy? But I know you softened up over the time and hey, you handle your, like you said, you did what you had to do. You trusted yourself and it was all you, man. I like to say we facilitate your reboot journey, but it's up to you to get there.